We are at the All-Star break. That means an extended matchup for fantasy basketball. So let's figure out what's happening, Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I'm actually the man behind Josh Wines. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshlloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Fanduel. Right now, new Fanduel customers get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Also, go to lockedondaily.com and find the best newsletter for your favorite NBA team. That is lockedondaily.com. Check it out over there. Thanks again for all of the patronage over at on this channel and this podcast and Basketball Monster, all the way up through the trade deadline, all the work that we did, and everyone paying attention, and, well, not even paying attention, just being there and watching and listening and paying attention. I said it again. Yeah, thanks for consuming the stuff that we did through the trade deadline. Now it is All-Star break. Remember, this is a second sort of period of the NBA season. What happens at the All-Star break very often is that teams will go down, they'll have their 6 days off or whatever it is, and they'll sit there, the coaching staff and all those guys, they'll have their holiday, and then they go, right, where are we? What are we doing? Who do we not want to see anymore? Who are we going to move into different roles? And you will see things happen. Player X is coming off the bench for the foreseeable future. This is our lineup moving forward. Randomness with minutes and injuries and whatever it is. This is where it happens. You get this weird little in-between time here of 4 days, 5 days before the break. And then after you come back from the break, you might get 1 or 2 games of weirdness. And then you get things switching. And then 2-3 weeks after that, 4 weeks after that, you start to get the full fake injury shutdowns. The other thing to watch is those 1 to 2 days before the All-Star break are complete chaos. We get random rests and illnesses, and often players who could come back don't come back, and then random injury returns just to get one game in. It's all over the shop. It's incredibly unpredictable on the Wednesday/Thursday before the All-Star break. So just, again, be aware that that is the period of the season that we are in here. So let's take a look at this week 17/18 across the NBA. It is Autism Sunday, so shout out to everyone who is affected or impacted by autism. This is the Sunday apparently for awareness. Didn't know that, but here we are. That is what it is, and we are here to talk week 17/18. Now again, you look on your individual fantasy matchup sites. This will say it's week matchup 16 on Yahoo, but it's actually going to be the 18th week of the season. This is where those weekly naming things get really, really rough, because we had the double week, which they screwed up earlier in the season, and now another double week. So it's going to be week 18. So by the time the All-Star break is over, it'll be the 19th week of the season, but it'll be fantasy matchup 17. And that's where all of your numbers, be careful what you're referencing. Let's talk dates. That is what we need to be talking at this period of the season, because people are going to have different things that they do, different sites that they're on, and we need to make sure we're talking about the correct thing. Let's look at the schedule for this week 17, week 18 period across this time. Now, this is also worth noting. On Yahoo, your weekly moves won't change. If you're a 4-move situation, you won't change. If you're playing in Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, your weekly games cap won't change. Your moves, which aren't capped in Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, they wouldn't change. Why? Well, you say it's a 2-week matchup. It's 8 days. Actually, that's not true. It's actually 9 days. It's 9 days worth of matchups, except one of those days has a bushfire replacement game. So there's a 1-game day in there, right? So we actually just have, let's ignore that day. Thought Obi was underneath me. We actually just have 8 games of action. So it's 1 extra day. So yeah, there are probably more games on this week than we would normally have. But that doesn't mean on Yahoo or in my leagues that I'm bumping up the limits or anything like that. If it was like a 10-day matchup, then, well, first of all, that would never exist. But if we did, then we'd bump it up. On ESPN, though, they ramp it per day. So if you, and I'm not sure how I think they combine the All-Star break. I haven't played an ESPN league in years, right? But if they do combine it, what they do is if you've got 7 games, 7 ads for a week, and then there's 8 game days, 9 game days, they will give you 9 moves. If you've got like a 40 game limit on ESPN, they will prorate it out. That is how their system works. So because there is literally 9 games of days, even though one of them is a 1 game day, I'm expecting, again, haven't played on ESPN, but this is what they do. I'm expecting that you will get the added moves. So if it's a 7 usually you will get 9. If you have 4, I'd expect that you get 5. On Yahoo, it won't change. In my leagues, the games cap will not change. Yes, so this is where knowing your schedule is important, or knowing your league is important. How do the games play out? We've got a very busy start to the week. 10 games on Monday, 4 on Tuesday, and then an absolutely bonkers, insane, what are you guys doing, 15 games on Wednesday. Every team plays on Wednesday. I absolutely dread that day. It is a horrific day. It's a horrific day to pay attention to the league. What it is an advantage, though, I think, for you guys who are watching this show, who are the fantasy-obsessed people watching a fantasy basketball preview show here in Week 17, is that you will be watching my recap show or consuming content, and you'll be paying attention to what actually goes on. Whereas the general casual fan has no hope of knowing what goes on across 15 games. None. This is what I talk about when the NBA is bad at promoting what they do. They're bad at promoting the right teams. Oh, it's all about the Lakers. Which, to be fair, it actually is at the moment because of the trade. But they're bad, because you can't pay attention to big things that happen across the league. You just can't do it when there are 15 games on. So we go 10 on Monday, 4 on Tuesday, 15 on Wednesday, and 5 on Thursday. And that is the first half of the matchup. That's the first week. It's 4 days. We come back from the All-Star break with a random 1 game on Wednesday. I feel like LeBron's not going to play that one, to be honest. After playing in the All-Star game, him being 55 years old, I don't think he's going to play in that game. That would be my guess. So Wednesday, there's 1 game. It's Hornets Lakers. Also, pretty sure LaMelo won't be available for both of those games. We'll see. He'll play one of them, I'm guessing. But we go 1 game Wednesday, 9 games Thursday, 9 games Friday, 5 games Saturday. I love that. It's a good little run-in. And then we finish with 10 on Sunday. That's a pretty good end to the week. Usually, we wouldn't have that Wednesday game. We'd go 4 and 4. But we have the random rescheduled game slot there on the Wednesday. That is how the schedule is playing out at the moment. And it's a pretty evenly spread week. We've got 16 teams that play 5 games and 14 teams that play 4 games. Charlotte, Cleveland, Dallas, Golden State, the Lakers, Memphis, Miami, Milwaukee, Minnesota, New Orleans, New York, Oklahoma City, Orlando, Phoenix, San Antonio, and Utah play 5 games. Everyone else plays 4. No, we don't have to worry about a 6-game team. We don't have to worry about a 3-game team or a 2-game team. It's 5s and 4s. Very, very, very straightforward for us here. So let's take a look at where quality games lie, because that's going to be really important. Obviously, we have a matchup with 9 actual game days. Again, one of them is a 1-game day, but we have 9 game days. So how do we process this? How do we use it? This is the part that I think you want to pay the most attention to. I think you're going to want to pay the most attention to this part here. We have got quality game days, which I define as 9 games on or fewer. You adjust that number if you play in a situation where you don't have a 10 starter 3 bench or 10 starter 4 bench situation. If that bench number increases, then your quality game threshold should drop. If you go 10 starters 5 bench, then your quality game threshold should be 8. If you go 6 starters 7 bench, then your quality game threshold should probably be like 6. Because it's all about the quality games is, hey, what is the general likelihood of me having an open roster spot on a particular day? That is what the idea of it is. If you go with 13 starters and 2 bench, well, your quality game threshold is probably going to be like 11. Yes? We got that? But I'm running on the standard 10-3, 10-4, which I hate that it is the standard, but it is the standard. Tuesday, these are the days that are streaming days. Now, for some of you, it will be different. Monday has 10 games on. There might be 40% of you that can stream on Monday. That is true, but it's not the majority. So we go Tuesday and Thursday in the first half of the week. I'm just going to call it week 1 for now. Tuesday and Thursday are the streaming days. In week 2 of the matchup, well, it's basically every day. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we get to 10 games on Sunday. May or may not be streamable on that day. May or may not. Just depends. All right, so that's where we sit. So there are 6 teams. Well, actually, that's not true. There's 9 teams that play 3 quality games. Charlotte, the Lakers, the Grizzlies, the Knicks, the Suns, and the Jazz. They are 5-game teams, and 3 of them are on low-volume days. So they're your good volume teams. Now, if you are playing in a weekly changes league, 5 will always trump 4. Yes, 5 will always trump 4. Because you don't have to worry about what days you're starting them on. You just choose your starters. In a daily changes league, those teams are great. Charlotte, Lakers, Memphis, Knicks, Suns, Utah. But the Bulls, the Rockets, and the Sixers are equally as good, even though they're only 4-game teams, because they still have 3 quality games. Now, when you're talking top-end stars, it's worse to have 4 versus 5. If you're talking about the top-end stars, old mate, the GOAT Vooch, you're talking about Şengün and Amen Thompson, or I was going to say Joel Embiid, but he probably doesn't play. Paul George, or he might not either. Tyrese Maxey. Like, their 4 games is not as good as 5 from Luka, if he's back. Or I was going to say Ja Morant, he won't play 5. Jaren Jackson. Or from Brunson and Towns. Like, their 5 is better. But when you're talking stream guys, of a Precious Achiuwa, of a Rui Hachimura, of Nick Smith, of, then you go to the Houston guys, or the Sixers guys, like maybe it's Quentin Grimes or whoever it is. They're the same. 3 quality games each. So 5 versus 4, not as big of a deal when you're talking streaming options and who you're looking at the wire versus the quality game difference. And then you go to there are 3 teams who are 4-game teams, same as Chicago, Houston, and Philadelphia, but they only have 1 quality game. They get the real short straw. Atlanta, Boston, Washington. So if you're looking at, is it Terrence Mann or Karis LeVert or Mohamed Wayuge, or is it Vit Krejci in Atlanta? Well, you might use him once. In Boston, is it worth holding Peyton Pritchard to use him once across 14 days? In Washington, is Bub Carrington worth it? I don't know. Is Keyshawn George worth it? Probably. Is Marcus Smart going to play, or Chris Middleton, or Tristan Vukcevic? Are they worth it with 1 quality game over 2 weeks? Because you are getting really close to the fantasy playoffs. And you've got to make sense. Like, is it worth me stashing, waiting for a breakout, when I could be using that 1 roster spot, which we're going to talk about in the stream zone in a second, to just get a lot more action? And we're going to come back and we're going to be fully in the stream zone. But today's episode is brought to you by Skims. Skims, they now make underwear for men. It's intriguing. You hear about Skims, hear about your missus with their Skims, and they're watching TV shows that maybe you don't always watch. That's okay. Or maybe you're a woman watching this. I know Skims, but I didn't know they made them for blokes, but they do. The quality is amazing. The material is fantastic. The comfort is awesome, and you want that comfort. You want that right thing. You don't have to worry about borrowing your partner's Skims anymore. You can just get your own in men's cuts, so that it's the right size, the right shape, the right color, the right material, the different selections they've got, boxers, boxer briefs, whatever it is you're looking for, the colors, the fabrics, the materials, cotton, the old stretchy running short material stuff. It's there. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com and at Skims stores, and let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, you select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu. If you're looking for that perfect gift for your Valentine or for yourself, Skims just launched their best Valentine's shop ever, available in sizes for women, men, kids, and even, pets. So I'm so sorry, what? Skims Pets. I'm going to need to do a whole ad on Skims Pets. Anyway, Skims Men's, that's the old news. Skims Pets, what are we buying? Underwear for dogs? I'm in. Let's go. Skims, cover up your dog's junk. I don't know. Something. All right. Here we are, ready to enter into the stream zone. Because this is, again, where we're trying to take advantage of the schedule as best we can. And one thing we know, like, while this over a 14-day period, it is hard. Because I can tell you, well, this guy's the grab. And just for clarity's sake, at the end of the show, I'd normally go, well, in a weekly league, here are some guys to add. I'm not actually going to do that because I think that in a lot of weekly leagues, you can change midway through. But also, there's just so much that changes. Me throwing out names and telling you, this is the right guy, this is the right guy, I think can end up being confusing when I actually just want you to more just sort of trust your gut and game volume this week, because there is going to be randomness everywhere. Okay? I'm also not going to go through the injuries and who may or may not play, because it is 14 days worth of action. And finding that information across that time is very, very difficult. Let's stream it up. there are two ways to approach this. This is sort of the way I've been doing this of late, is looking at what if I use one streaming spot? What if I use two? Now, when you get into the fantasy playoffs, using two streaming spots is going to be the better way to go about it. Now, you can get two streaming spots by just having one guy that you don't value that much and you drop, or when you get injuries, someone goes into your IL and that opens up a second streaming slot. But we'll check out the cost and benefit of all this stuff. If you've got one spot, the best that you can do, using my cutoff numbers, is turn one quality game into 6. We went through those teams before that had one quality game only. And that's not an ideal scenario. But we've got a bunch of teams, 3 different teams who have one quality game. And that is, as I go through them again, Boston, Washington, and Atlanta. So if you did decide to add Mohamed Wayuge, if you did look at Terrence Mann or Karis LeVert or George Niang, or honestly, even Zachary Ricochet, or you're holding Clint Capella, or you've got those Wizards guys and you want to get more games in, you can get 5 extra games. And if I look at those teams when they have their quality game, well, the Hawks have it on Thursday of week 2. The Wizards have it on Friday of week 2. And the Celtics have it on Thursday of week 2. So you may not use them at all in week 1 of this matchup. And then you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And in the Wizards' case, you're waiting for 2 game days to pass before you use them once on the Friday. Now, the Hawks and the Wizards play on Saturday when there are 10 games on, the Sunday, when there are 10 games on, so maybe you use them. They play on Monday when there are 10 games on. They play on Wednesday because everyone plays. Now, that's obviously not a streaming day. But you can turn one quality game into 6. Here's how. You've got 4 moves as the average. You can just use anyone you want on Tuesday. Just stream a player on Tuesday. You can then stream whoever you want on Thursday. Doesn't matter who. Then, what you really want to do, and this is going to be the team of the matchup, it's Charlotte. Because they've got that bonus game on Wednesday. So you can get a Hornets and Lakers player on the Wednesday-Thursday back-to-back. And the Hornets are going to have them. And we expect that LaMelo probably sits some of them, but they're going to have Moussa Diabate. They're going to have Yusuf Nurkic. They're going to have KJ Simpson, Nick Smith Jr., Josh Green, Dalton Connect. There's going to be random guys all over the place. The Lakers are probably going to have some as well. Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent maybe. But you want a Hornets-Lakers guy. And then you can drop that fringe player. Maybe it is Nick Smith or KJ Simpson or whoever it is. And then you can try a Houston or Utah player. Now, Utah, on the Friday-Saturday back-to-back, we know they're probably going to rest Markkanen and Collins and Clarkson. And Isaiah Collier is not counted here. He's a must-roster player. I reckon about 6 weeks ago, I said on one of these shows, sort of flippantly, I go, I really need to win assists in this industry pickup matchup against Jake. I think I just might add Isaiah Collier just to see you get the assists. And I actually don't remember if I did. I certainly hope I did. I'm going to have a look because that was weeks ago. And I was like, all right, let's try this Isaiah Collier thing because the assists are invaluable and I just really need them. So maybe I'll make that move and grab him. That was ages ago. And things have transformed for him. He was the worst player in the NBA. For the first 10 weeks of the year, 12 weeks of the year, he was the worst player in the NBA. But as a point guard, he has grown immeasurably. Do I have him? Yeah, I do have him. I've got him in 3 leagues. I actually drafted him in a draft and stash league. Wow. I didn't know that. All right, so yeah, Isaiah Collier is not one of those streaming guys. So that's how you can turn 1 into 6. Anyone on Tuesday, anyone on Thursday, get a Charlotte Lakers Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back, then get a Rockets Jazz Friday, Saturday back-to-back. 1 quality game has been turned into 6. That is +5. W, well done. If you want to use 2 roster spots, now you can't do as well. You can turn 2 spots, and that means 2 quality games if you've got like 2 of those Hawks, Wizards, Celtics fringe players. This is the best you can do. You can turn those 2 quality games, like if you had Mohamed Gay, if you had Dominic Barlow or Vic Krejci or Zach Ricochet, you had 2 of those guys, you could drop them and you could turn their 2 quality games into 8. Here's how you can do it. At the start of the week, it's frustrating to be able to do that, right? What you want to do is make 1 move in all of week 1. You can do this starting Tuesday of week 1, and then you make a second move for Friday of week 2. So there are these teams: Charlotte, Chicago, Indiana, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Grizzlies, the Knicks, the Sixers, and the Suns. Yes? You can get those guys in. They play 2 quality games between Tuesday of week 1 and Thursday of week 2. So it's a longer play. So if you've got somebody like one of those Atlanta guys, one of those Boston players who play on the Monday, or the Wizards players, maybe you use them on the Monday, maybe you don't. Maybe you've got an additional ability to play them there. But then remembering that they don't play another quality game until later in the week. But then you can move on. And then you can add somebody from any of these teams: Charlotte, Chicago, Indiana, Clippers, Lakers, Memphis, Knicks, Sixers, Suns. And you get 2 quality games, and it's all the way through until the Friday of week 2. And then you get to end the week, you've got the Rockets, Jazz, who play the Friday, Saturday back-to-back. And then if you've got the open spot on Sunday, you could try anyone who plays 2 games in those last 3 days of the week. So you're turning each roster spot into 4 playable games. Each roster spot becomes 4 playable games, meaning you can turn 2 quality games into 8. It's a +6 for 2 spots. So it is better than getting +5 for 1 spot, but that's all you can do. Yes? Good. We'll come back and look at some more schedule quirks, but today's episode is brought to you by Fanduel Sportsbook. The NBA action is just firing up right now, and there's no better place to get in on it than Fanduel, America's #1 sportsbook. You can place live bets on NBA games live throughout the game, so even if you miss out on an opening tip or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. If you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. It's easy to do that. You might see a trend happening, a run starting. You might be like betting against the run and go, well, I see this run happening, but maybe we go on the other side of it and expect that other team to come back. All that is available on FanDuel, plus all of your traditional betting stuff as well. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just go to FanDuel.com to join today. That is FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. I spent a lot of time talking about like the schedule and the streaming because it is a long period of this week, right? There's a lot that's going to happen, or a lot that can happen through this. So I wanted to make sure that we did give it enough time. Let's look at some schedule quirks now. There's a couple of things that are important here. There are 2 teams, the Houston Rockets and the LA Clippers, that don't play on Monday or Tuesday. So their week or their matchup does not start until Wednesday. So they've got a couple of days off. There is one team which has got a very weird schedule. It's Sacramento. So they don't play. Their total matchup ends on Friday of week 2. They don't play the weekend. They're the only team that does not play the weekend. There are 19 games across the weekend, and the Kings are not involved in any of them. So they don't play on the weekends. They've got the early finish. Now, they're the only team with a very odd split as well. Remember, we've got 16 teams playing 5 games and 14 teams playing 4. But the Kings play 3 games in week 1, and they play 1 game in week 2 on Friday. Now, this is, again, like that means you get a little bit of a boost early on from Keon Ellis or Valanciunas or Trey Lyles in that early part of the week. Even like Keegan Murray in shallow leagues. And then the second half, you get 1 game. So if you wanted to decide to move off of a Kings player, well, you do it there. Because, obviously, 1 game across the second half of the week. There are a bunch of 3-game in 4-night periods during this time. If we start from the Sunday of week 16 heading into 17, Sunday through to Wednesday, remembering that Wednesday is a 15-game day. It's more just to give you ideas of which teams are going to get overloaded as well, but also like if there are some leagues where you can change lineups midweek as well. But Charlotte, Detroit, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Toronto goes Sunday, Wednesday. Monday through to Thursday, a lot of teams play 3 games in 4, obviously with Wednesday having 15 on. Dallas, Golden State, Miami, Minnesota, New Orleans, Oklahoma City, Sacramento, Utah. And then from Wednesday into Thursday of week 2, Charlotte, the Clippers, and the Lakers play 3 games in 4 NBA game nights. That's Wednesday, Thursday game week 1, and then Wednesday, Thursday week 2. If we then start in week 2 of Wednesday to Saturday, it is only Charlotte and the Lakers. Charlotte's name keeps appearing, guys. And then to end out week 2 of this, the Thursday through to Sunday, 3 games in 4 nights, it's Cleveland, Memphis, Milwaukee, the Knicks, Orlando, Phoenix, and San Antonio. There are a few situations where there are teams having 4 games in 6 nights as well. and you'll be shocked to know that Charlotte is dominating this as well. So from Sunday of week 16 through to Wednesday of week 2 of this matchup, that is 6 game nights, Charlotte is the only team with 4 games. Between Monday, starting week 1, and Thursday of week 2, it is Charlotte and the Lakers with 4 games in 6 nights. From Tuesday of week 1 to Friday of week 2, Memphis and New York have 4 games in 6 nights. And then from Wednesday of week 1 to Saturday of week 2, it is Charlotte, Houston, the Lakers, and Utah. Nobody plays 4 games in 6 nights from the Thursday of week 1 through to Sunday of week 2. And then we look at who might have 5 games in 7 nights. I'll give you one guess as to which team this is. Yeah, it's Charlotte. So that is Sunday ending tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday. Through to Thursday of week 2 of this matchup, the Charlotte Hornets play 5 games. Now, it's not 7 real-life nights, so the toll on their body is not as big, but it is 7 NBA game nights. You are going to get a lot of Hornets. You're going to get a lot of Ball, giggity. You're going to get Bridges, I guess you get Ball as well, but you're going to get some Simpson. You're going to get some Air. You're going to get some Green. You're going to get Connect. You're going to get Nurkic. You're going to get Diabate. You're going to get other garbage. You're going to get Tijan Salin in there as well. But they're the only team that does that. The only team. If we look at 5 game in 8 night runs, which is, again, very condensed. It's not 8 real-life nights, though. It's 8 game nights. Again, is Charlotte in here? Of course they are. Sunday through to Friday of week 2, it's Charlotte and Milwaukee. Monday through to Saturday of week 2, Charlotte, Lakers, and Utah. Tuesday through to Sunday of week 2, Memphis, New York, and Phoenix. And then Wednesday of week 1 into Monday at the end of week 18, you've got Charlotte, the Clippers, Miami, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, and Utah. Busy. 5 games, 8 nights. You'll also know that we have a 6 game in 9 night run, which we don't always have. And who is it? It's Charlotte. Sunday, so tomorrow, Charlotte heading into the week, all the way through to Saturday of week 2. Charlotte plays on 6 of the NBA game nights. Let's also now look at back-to-backs. There is not as many back-to-backs during this period as you may think, but from Sunday, where 3 games are on, Super Bowl Sunday, into Monday, it's Charlotte, Milwaukee, the only back-to-back teams. You watch for Giannis, by the way, who's missed 3 consecutive games with a calf issue. I would say 0 shot that Giannis plays both of those, so you're going to get some big Bob Portis action. Sunday, a 3-game day. On to Tuesday, a 4-game day. You've got Detroit, Philadelphia, and Toronto. So if you're looking to stream tomorrow, Super Bowl Sunday, and you want to get a little bit of an extra leg up, one of those 3 teams are interesting. And then we go into the second week of the matchup, where it's Wednesday, Thursday. 1 game Wednesday, 9 games Thursday. By the way, there are no teams that played Tuesday and Thursday in week 1. So Wednesday, Thursday, Charlotte and the Lakers. And then Thursday, Friday, both 9-game days. Now this is where we've got a bit of an abundance of back-to-backs. Cleveland, Memphis, Milwaukee, New York, Orlando, and San Antonio. And that is a true back-to-back as well. And then to finish off the back-to-backs, we've mentioned Houston, Utah a lot in the stream zone. They have the Friday, Saturday back-to-back, which is 9 games and 9 games. They're the only team that does that, or only teams that do that. And there's only one team that plays the back-to-back on Saturday to Sunday. And that is the Phoenix Suns. And you might be able to stream that with 10 games on Sunday, but you also maybe can't. Maybe you can't. And that, guys, is a weekly preview. Like I said, no point, I think, going through all the injuries and who may or may not play. You are going to get so much stuff that changes all through this, so we're not going to give that sort of info here. Again, I think it's just outdated and can end up being misleading, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to be misleading to you guys. So hit the thumb on this video. Hit the double bang. If you've been double banging, if you are new here, which I know there are, amazing. There are still people discovering this, and that's why I still think we can hit 100k subs on this. There are just always people jumping in and being new on this, which is great. Like it, share it, subscribe it. Hope you enjoy it. But also just enjoy what you're doing when you're not watching this. There's always going to be something positive. I'm looking forward to a big day of watching NBA games and sitting around, resting up. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.